Hello and welcome to week 2 of Eating Like a Yogi. This week we are going to be talking about ahimsa, the first yum, and we're going to begin just by giving you each a chance to check in on your week, each of you that are present right now. And this is a chance for you to speak 2 words about your week, about what stood out about your week and where you're at right now. And they don't have to be words that are congruent with each other, so you can both be anxious and content at the same time. And you can be excited and calm. So 2 words about where you're at. And so that we can see that there are what I find about this experience is it often gives me a chance to check the temperature of the room, but usually there's a full range of experiences present, usually. So I'm just going to call out names as they appear on my list here in alphabetical order, in reverse order because...
Thank you, because I'm always first.
Yes. Cool. I remember that. My maiden name started with a U, so I always had to go last. So let's do it that way. Rush me.
Okay. Transition and confused.
Transition and confused. Nicole.
Disconnected and tired.
Disconnected and tired. Darlene. Maybe Darlene's camera is frozen. Oh, there you are. Darlene? Oh, Darlene's coming back. We'll come back to her. Allison?
Uncertain and enthusiastic.
And Alice?
Not right now. I'm a bit sleepy, but in general, vibrant and jumpy.
Okay. Darlene, did you want to speak 2 words about where you're at right now?
Oh, sure. I got disconnected.
Yeah.
Joyful and curious.
Okay. All right. So it seems like all of when I bring all of that together, there's a little bit of uncertainty in the group. So hopefully we can attend to that in our call today. So over the last week, we've been practicing ahimsa and loving kindness towards ourselves. And what stood out to me about this experience, I'm just going to do a little overview of what stood out to me when I was reading through your post this week. One of the main things that stood out to me so much so is that I was really thinking about doing a whole Namaste Yoga series on this today, is how much we don't speak kindly to ourselves. And how much our inner critic shows up. That was a theme through the whole week, right to the very end. So, yeah, and it reminded me about an idea I'd had at least a year ago of us doing a series around the inner critic. And I think that really just robs a lot of our energy. So that really stood out to me. If that was the overarching theme of the week, it would be how much the inner critic hijacks our lives probably. Another thing that stood out is an awareness around how overindulging is not kind to your body and causes your body suffering. And this was an awareness. This was a kind awareness. This was not an inner critic awareness. This was an awareness around how many times overindulging just asks your body to do too much. and how you ask your body to do too much, not just in terms of eating, but also in your yoga asana. That was a theme that came across a lot, too. There was a big awareness around that. And then also that came off the mat in terms of asking it to digest too much food. So there was that kind of on the mat, off the mat awareness. Treating yourself as a guest of honor was a great experience this week for a lot of people. And there was this awareness that you're worth the same effort that you give to others. So I thought that was really a beautiful awareness. And through that activity, a lot of you had this awareness again, this insight that taking time to slow down was a really great thing. There was a lot of you that said, what's the rush? Why am I rushing? Why don't I take this time to slow down? And there was this sense of spaciousness that you really enjoyed. So there was a wondering why you didn't do it more often and what the rush was. And so the slowing down really created this space of loving kindness for you. Around that idea of you deserving the same loving kindness as you offer to others, I saw that loving kindness didn't have to be this me or them choice. Also, this week it could be for this. I see this a lot as practices mature, that it's not either or, that it can be both and, and that showed up this week in your practice as well. A lot of you, when you turned into your bodies and asked your bodies what they need, realized that your bodies needed rest. So this is really interesting when I know sometimes when I go to eat, that it's often that my body just needs to rest, and I'm trying to fuel when I need to just stop and rest. So I thought that was an interesting awareness this week too. Again, this self-criticism, it's become a deeply ingrained habit. And in yoga we call this a samskara, so that was another one that came. I brought that up again, and that would be your umbrella for the week for sure. In that exercise around asking your body what it needs, there was some awareness around listening to your body is not the same as telling your body what it needs to do. So that this is another form of imposing prescriptions and formulas and advice from the outside, and really this can be another way of imposing violence on your body. So there was that subtle distinction that I think we were able to make this week between listening to your body and prescribing to your body what to do. Also, just taking a step back. A lot of you talked about taking a step back and how that gives you space to have awareness to treat yourself with more loving kindness. And also that comparison is a form of violence. That also came up as well. So those were the main themes that I found came out of reading all of your posts this week. And I really appreciate you all taking the time to post. For those of you present, did you find that by reading other people's comments that it gave you insight to your own practice as well?
Yeah.
Great. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to start with a little story. And this starts to turn us towards our Truth Week. And also a little bit about loving kindness as well. So it's a nice transition exercise. So this course, as you know, is about eating like a yogi. And it's a skill that anybody can learn. it can be applied to any area of our life. So you're learning these skills for eating, but it works in any area of your life. I have found the wrong spot to start. Hold on one sec. Okay, so eating like a yogi is an experience that engages all parts of your body. It engages your body. And when we did the kosha meditation, you saw how you went through all your parts, your body, your mind, your emotions, your thoughts, your spirit. So when you go through all these parts, you'll see how you can choose to engage with your food, and you'll get to do more of this week in our meditations and our yoga practices. You'll see more of this. Eating like a yogi involves all the senses, and you're going to see even more of that this week. It immerses you in the colors and the textures, the scents, the taste, and even the sounds of drinking and eating. It allows you to be curious and even playful as you investigate your response to food and your inner cues to hunger and satisfaction. So eating like a yogi is not directed by charts, tables, pyramids, or scales. It's not dictated by an expert. It's directed by your own inner experiences moment to moment. And your experience is unique, so therefore you're the expert. Eating like a yogi is not based on anxiety about the future, but on the actual choices that are in front of you and your direct experience of health while eating and drinking. Eating like a yogi replaces self-criticism with self-nurturing, so we talked about that this week. It replaces shame with respect for your own inner wisdom. So this is a story about Sally. On the way home from work, Sally thinks with dread about the talk she needs to work on for a big conference. She has to get it done in the next few days to meet a big deadline. Before starting to work on the speech, however, she decides to relax and watch a few minutes of TV when she gets home. She sits down with a big bag of chips beside her chair. And at first she eats only a few, but as the show gets more dramatic, she eats faster and faster. And when the show ends, she looks down and realizes that she's eaten the entire bag of chips. She scolds herself for wasting time in eating junk food. Too much salt and fat. No dinner for you. Engrossed in the drama on the screen, covering up her anxiety about procrastinating, she ignored what was happening in her mind, in her emotions, in her mouth, and in her stomach. So this week we're going to get into eye hunger, mouth hunger, stomach hunger, cell hunger. So you're going to be looking at, in this week on truth, you're going to be looking at, are my eyes hungry? Is my nose hungry? Is it my mouth that's hungry? Is it my stomach that's hungry? So this was like such a revelation to me when I learned these skills. So I look forward to hearing your responses to them too. So Sally ate unconsciously. She ate to go unconscious. So she goes to bed unnourished on potato chips only, in her body, in her emotions, and with her mind still anxious about the talk. So here's the next time this happens, she decides to eat chips. So there's no prescription about not eating chips. Chips aren't bad. Food is food. But to try eating them more mindfully. So first she checks in with her mind. She finds that her mind is worried about an article she promised to write. Her mind says that she needs to get started on it tonight. So she checks in with her emotions and she finds that she's feeling a little lonely because her husband's out of town. And then she checks in with her stomach and her body, and she discovers that she's both hungry and tired. She needs some nurturing. The only one at home to do this is herself. So she decides to nurture herself or treat herself to a small chip party. So remember that food is food, and there's no right or wrong, no better best. So there's nothing wrong with having fun with food. So she takes out 20 chips out of the bag and she arranges them on her plate. She takes a look at the color and the shape, and she eats one chip, savoring its flavor. And then she pauses and she eats another. And there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. She simply sees the shades of tan and brown on each curved surface, tasting the tang of salt, hearing the crunch of each bite, feeling the crisp texture melt into softness. She ponders how these chips arrived on her plate, aware of the sun, the soil, the rain, the potato farmer, the workers at the chip factory, the truck driver, the grocer who stocked the shelves and sold them to her. With little pauses between each chip, it takes 10 minutes for her chip party. When she finishes the chips, she checks with her body to see if any part of her body is hungry. She finds that her mouth and her cells are thirsty. So this week, you're going to learn the tools to do these check-ins. So she gets a drink of orange juice. Her body is also saying she needs some protein and something green, so she makes a cheese omelet and a spinach salad. After eating, she checks again with her mind, her body, and her heart. Her emotions and her body feel nourished, but her mind is still tired. She decides to go to bed and work on her talk the first thing in the morning, when her mind and body will be rested. She's still feeling lonely, although less so within the awareness of all the beings whose life energy brought her those chips. And the eggs, cheese and greens. She decides to call her husband to say goodnight. She goes to bed with her body, her mind, and her emotions at ease, and she sleeps soundly. So I just love that story of the chip party. I think it's really fantastic. So I've muted you all because I was getting a little echo. But right now we're going to do meditation. So I'll get you to sit in such a way that your spine is straight, that you feel your sit bones connected to your seat, or if you're standing, feel your feet connected to the ground. Draw your head back over your rib cage. And begin to turn your awareness inwards. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And let it fall out of your mouth. And take as many breaths like that as you need to allow yourself to arrive here now. And then let your awareness settle on your breathing. And just notice what's happening with your breath. Then take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. And shift your awareness to your physical body. And notice what's happening in your body right now. And then take a deep breath in through your nose. And let it fall out of your mouth. And notice what thoughts are present. What's on your mind. Take a deep breath in. Let it fall out of your mouth. Just check in with how you're feeling. What emotions are present? And take a deep breath in. Let it fall out of your mouth. And tune into your energy. Just notice where your energy levels are at right now. And then keeping your attention turned inward, Allow yourself to respond internally to these questions. Take a moment now and just notice if you're hungry. Are you hungry? Where do you feel hunger? Where do you not feel hunger? Then take a deep breath in. Let it fall out of your mouth. Become curious about what part of you is hungry. Is your physical body hungry? Is your mind hungry? Are your emotions in need? Are your emotions hungry? Are you energetically hungry? Is your spirit hungry? What part of you wants to be fed? Then take a deep breath in through your nose and let it fall out of your mouth. Now ask yourself, what is it that I'm really craving? Keeping your awareness turned inward. What is it that I'm really craving? And then take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it fall out of your mouth. And gradually allow your breath to deepen. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your sit bones in the chair. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So I will open the floor now so that you can speak about your experience. It can be about any part of your week or the meditation. You're also relaxed from my meditation.
Kind of. Not quite all the way back yet.
I'll go.
Okay.
Hard week. Been a long time since I've actually cooked for my family, like anything other than making sure they get fed. Twice this week though, so I'm good with that. Fresh meals, fresh meals. So I think my big takeaway from the week itself is that in all of my food issues and my experiences, I can look at things from an intellectual point of view, but I don't think that I've carried guilt and shame for how I've hurt my family and friends, but I've never really acknowledged the embarrassment. Sorry. And my anger and my resentment. It's almost towards the food, but it's not really towards food. It's towards what the food represents. And I think in that meditation, what do I crave the most is somebody to take care of me. No strings attached, no control. Not to the point where I lose myself. That's not what I mean at all. but somebody to be there to support and to encourage unconditionally. A family member, a friend. Peyton almost fell off the couch. Sorry. I had to catch him there. We don't want him to break another bone. but so I think those were my two big things from the week. The starting to look at my issues with food more emotionally, and the thinking about I do and do and do and do for everybody else. And I'm tired. Mm-hmm. Very, very tired. So, that's it.
Do you feel strong enough to say more if I ask you some questions?
I don't promise that I won't cry.
Crying is okay.
Yes.
And say more about resenting the food.
I'm not sure I know how to put it. I was the kid who had to sit at the table for an hour till my plate was clean. Mm-hmm. Those green beans, the peas, I hated them. Mm-hmm. Everything about them. I like them now, but at the time I can remember being a child and thinking, I hate you. Why do I have to be here with you? So it's not really the food itself. It's the control. That I was taught that food was supposed to be used for. I can remember it was like clockwork. Everything was clockwork. On one night a week it would be oatmeal for dinner, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with oatmeal, but it was like scheduled. I grew up with salads, and it was like a constant diet. One person was on a diet. The whole house was on a diet. What that taught me was that self-image was very important. Body weight must have been the most important thing in my little 4-year-old mind, because that's how far back I can remember these patterns being taught. And so I was being controlled and taught through food. And not positively. Mm-hmm. It was negative messages that are, you've got to look a certain way. You've got to, you can only eat certain things. There's food out there that I didn't even know existed until maybe 15 years ago. So it's not the food that I'm resentful for. It's what it meant to me, more than the food, I think. That I can look at it and think, I'm sorry, Melissa, I can look at it and think there's a lot of other things I would rather be doing than cutting up my onions. Mm-hmm. But I think that's my own projection Like, I don't want to be here with you, just like I was 4 years old with my green peas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because food was control.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was used as a form control for me, and then I learned in turn how to control the food. I thought I was controlling the food, but in reality, it was controlling me. So, logically, I can see that.
Yeah.
Emotionally,
And you can see it still?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Emotionally?
Emotionally, I want to kind of shut down.
Say more about that.
My stomach feels very full because I have been making a point since Sunday to eat more regularly, and not typically I'll graze through the day. I've been making a point to eat at regular intervals and almost meals, regular meal-like fashion.
So you've been controlling your food?
Yes, but I've been trying to come at it at a more grateful and compassionate way. I was sitting in meditation the other night doing
But your
something.
stomach hurts.
My stomach hurts, but
It sounds like you're going to explain this to me rather than listen to your body.
It's full. I feel bloated. I feel almost like my body is trying to tell me something.
So what's your body trying to tell? Let's check in let's just try something here, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Is your stomach full right now too?
Yes.
Okay, so close your eyes.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath in. And tune into your stomach. And get right into that bloated feeling. Let me know when you feel really connected to what's going on in your stomach. Okay. So if your stomach could talk to you, what would it say? Or how about this? What does your stomach need right now? What would help your stomach most?
Acknowledging the fact that when I've been here before, I have made myself want to throw up. I have made myself throw up.
So that sounds like a brain statement. Would your stomach just feels like throwing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be more comfortable in my body.
So you would be more comfortable in your body right now if you threw up.
Yes.
Okay, so that let's just try and really drop into your stomach. And see if there's something that your stomach needs to feel better.
A detox class?
Like the detox yoga class.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a sense of what it is in that class that's going to make it feel better? Make your stomach feel better?
No, I'm feeling a sense of gratitude.
And say more about that.
My meal nourished my body. I'm just not used to how it feels in my belly.
So your stomach actually feels grateful for the nourishment. Does that sound right?
I think I'm confused. I think I'm conflicted. Yes, I am. My stomach feels grateful.
Mm-hmm.
But old demons want to come out.
Mm-hmm. That inner critic.
The inner critic.
Can you feel your difference, feel your way between the difference between the two? Even a little?
When I think gratitude and compassion, and that I'm happy to be fed fully, my heart calmed down. It's not beating as fast. So less anxiety, maybe. But then when I focus on I feel too full, I'm bloated, I'm uncomfortable, it starts beating faster and my breath is getting shallow.
Okay, so thank your belly for its message.
Thank you, Billy.
Nicole, I do admire your courage for connecting to your body. I know it's really challenging. And I know there is wisdom there, despite the conflicting emotions. Does it help to create that space to...
It does. It's a scary space.
Yeah. It makes me think like when as yoga teachers, when we have clients that have panic attacks, we put them in conditions where they have panic attacks. Yeah. So it's like going right to it rather than away from it, and really tuning into it, like rather than avoiding it, being present to it. As hard as it is, I think will open the awareness to what's present. But it's probably going to take time because there's so many layers of stories of what you've told yourself.
Yes.
About what's going on there.
It's a lifetime worth of layers. Yeah.
And then there's the stories of what you're telling yourself now about what should be happening there.
And there's that fine line where I could feel myself going right back into some of those old, it's almost like it's easier to avoid getting into the situation than to facing
go
it.
to it. Yeah. It will be interesting this week for you to tune into cellular hunger, I think. Maybe it won't just be stomach hunger. There are other parts of your body that can be interested in hunger too. So let's see how that goes this week too.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Would anybody else like to speak? People are running away.
Well, can I just say thank you, Nicole, for sharing that, because I have a son who doesn't like to eat very much, and just listening to you speak from maybe where he's at, that's just helpful. It's gave me a lot to think about through what you were saying and how I need to want to be careful to honor his own body and his own way of being, because I just have a hard time understanding how he can. I mean, I really don't think he would eat if he didn't have to, and that's really hard for me to understand. But anyways, just thank you, because it gave me a lot to think about too in my relationship with him. So that's all.
I remember those peas when we were kids too. They were so gross. They're not like they are now. Now they're sweet and crisp, but when we were kids they were like mushy and nasty. Yeah, so gross. Nobody else wants to speak about anything from this week? Are there? No? Shall we go on and I'll show you the homework for this week then? I'm going to mute you all. Hold on. I'll keep you unmuted. Make sure that you can see my screen. Are you looking at it says week 2 ahimsa at the top? Great. Okay, so for this week, our focus is on satya, truthfulness. So here are our yoga practices for this week. Can you see those now, Rashmi, the yoga practices, the videos here? Yeah? Okay. All right, so we're starting with Namaste Yoga number 34, Satya and Truthfulness. This is a kind of heavy week on homework. I apologize in advance for that. This is the class on truthfulness, and then there's a mindful eating yoga video. It's an hour long. They're all like hour-long yoga videos. And then this was one of my earliest yoga videos, Namaste Yoga 7 on discovering your personal truth. And then your meditation for this week is a mindful eating meditation. And this one's really important. In fact, if you did this first would probably be best, because you're going to take some food. Like it's easy if it's something that can fit in your mouth, like a grape or a cherry tomato or a section of an orange or a piece of apple or a chip, but something that can fit in your mouth in one go. And you're going to examine eye hunger, nose hunger, cell hunger, all the different levels of hunger. So that's a really important one for this week, especially as it comes into your journal questions, as is the lecture, which is only 17 minutes. So it helps to explain a lot of the concepts from this week. And then you get to put them into practice with your journal questions, where you take time to look at your food. So there's eye hunger, where you look at the food and you notice the colors and shapes and textures on your plate. And then you do get an exercise around nose hunger, where you put something in a small cup or a bowl and you spend time smelling something. So the point of these exercises is to notice that you can feed yourself not just through your mouth. Your mouth can kind of be insatiable. It doesn't ever sort of finish being full, especially with things like chips. Then this is a good one to do before you sit down to eat your meals, is to become mindful of your cellular hunger. Just notice what your cells are hungry for. And then these ones are really cool around the shoulds and shouldn'ts. Noticing your mind's comments about what you should and shouldn't eat. And then this is really cool because you'll notice how contradictory your mind actually is, because your mind will say, oh, you should drink green tea. It's good for you. It's full of antioxidants and it'll help you lose weight. And then the next few moments later, you'll be like, oh, you shouldn't drink that green tea because it's got caffeine in it and you're going to be anxious and jittery. So notice how your mind isn't actually that great at being the control freak around food. So watch those should and shouldn'ts and let us know about it. And then look at how we're conditioned around those shoulds and shouldn'ts. This is kind of a homework bonus, but look at how our culture conditions us around that, and especially the scientific community, which is kind of the false god in our culture. This information changes frequently. One day this is good, one day this is bad, and it creates a lot of confusion. So you can bring even an article that demonstrates a kind of scientific or a medical approach to eating, where a doctor is touted as speaking the truth. And it's really interesting if you can find contradictory articles. So one will say that this is good, and then another one will say that it's bad. So bring them along, and if you can't bring them to class, you can feel free to post them on the forum. And this is why we focus on you getting to be the expert, because if you focus outward on finding the experts, it's full of contradictory information. So that's your homework for this week. Any questions about that? Okay. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I will see you on the forum, and I look forward to hearing about your experience for Truth Week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Namaste.
Good night. Namaste. Namaste.